Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun!
Lila stood on the sidewalk, smoothing down her dress for what felt like the 100th time. Her fingers traced the delicate floral pattern, a nervous habit she'd developed since buying the garment for her friend's bridal shower. The makeup she'd meticulously applied earlier felt heavy on her face, a stark reminder of how much had changed since her high school days. Lila's phone buzzed in her clutch, alerting her that the Uber was approaching. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the butterflies in her stomach. It wasn't just the upcoming event making her nervous. It was the first time she'd be seeing many of her old friends since her transition. The familiar chime of the Uber app sounded as a sleek black sedan pulled up to the curb. Lila stepped forward, her heels clicking on the pavement. As she reached for the door handle, the driver's window rolled down. "Lila?" A familiar voice called out. She froze, her hand hovering inches from the door. That voice. She knew it all too well. Slowly, she turned to face the driver, her heart pounding in her chest. "Michael?" she gasped, recognizing the face of her old high school friend. The man behind the wheel blinked in surprise, his eyes widening as he took in Lila's appearance.
"Oh my God,"
he breathed.
"Is that really you?"
Lila felt a rush of emotions, fear, excitement, anxiety, all swirling together in a dizzying mix. She hadn't seen Michael since before her transition, and now here he was, about to drive her to a bridal shower where she'd face even more familiar faces from her past. Yes, it's me," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael's expression shifted from shock to a warm smile. "Wow, it's been so long! You look amazing!" His genuine reaction eased some of Lila's tension. She returned the smile, albeit a bit shakily. "Thanks, Michael. I didn't expect to see you here." "Life's full of surprises, huh?" He chuckled, then gestured to the back seat.
"Hop in. We've got some catching up to do."
Lila hesitated for a moment before opening the door and sliding into the back seat. The leather was cool against her bare legs, and she smoothed her dress once more, a nervous habit. As Michael pulled away from the curb, an awkward silence filled the car. Lila caught his eyes in the rearview mirror, seeing a mix of curiosity and warmth in them.
"So,"
Michael began, his voice breaking through the quiet. "How have you been? It's been, 10 years? Lila nodded, her fingers idly playing with the strap of her clutch. "Yeah, about that. I've been good. Really good, actually. How about you?" Michael grinned, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Can't complain. Got married, had a kid, started driving for Uber on the weekends. Life's been an adventure." "That's wonderful," Lila said, genuinely happy for her old friend. "Congratulations on the family." "Thanks," Michael replied. He paused for a moment, then added, "And congratulations to you, too. You seem happier, more yourself." Lila felt a lump form in her throat at his words. She hadn't expected such understanding, especially not from someone she hadn't seen in so long. "Thank you," she managed to say. "It's been a journey, but I finally feel like I'm living authentically." Michael nodded, his eyes meeting hers in the mirror again.
"That's all anyone can ask for, right? To be true to themselves."
The car slowed to a stop at a red light, and Michael turned in his seat to face Lila directly.
"Listen, I know we lost touch after high school, but I want you to know that I'm really happy for you. And I'm sorry if I ever said or did anything back then that might have made things harder for you.
Lila felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, threatening to ruin her carefully applied mascara. She blinked them back, touched by Michael's words. "You didn't," she assured him. "You were always a good friend." The light turned green, and Michael turned back to the road. As they drove, the initial awkwardness melted away, replaced by the easy camaraderie they'd shared in high school.
"So, where are we headed?"
Michael asked, glancing at the GPS on his phone.
"Oh, it's a bridal shower for our old classmate Emma," Lila explained. "Remember her? She was always organizing those school dances." Michael laughed. "How could I forget? She practically bullied me into being on the decorating committee for prom."
Lila joined in his laughter, the sound filling the car and easing any remaining tension.
"That sounds like Emma. She hasn't changed much, from what I hear." "Are you nervous?" Michael asked, his tone softening. "About seeing everyone, I mean." Lila took a deep breath, considering her answer. "A little," she admitted. "It's the first time I'll be seeing most of them since I transitioned. I'm not sure what to expect." Michael's eyes met hers in the mirror again, his gaze steady and reassuring. "Hey, if anyone gives you a hard time, you just let me know. I'll come back and give them a piece of my mind."
His protective tone made Lila smile. It was comforting to know that despite the years and changes, she still had a friend in Michael. "I appreciate that, but I think I can handle it. Besides, Emma's always been pretty open-minded." "True," Michael agreed. "Remember when she started that club in senior year? The one for, what did she call it? Promoting understanding and acceptance?" Lila nodded, the memory flooding back. "Yeah, I do. I never had the courage to go, but I always admired her for trying to make a difference." "Well, now you're making a difference just by being yourself," Michael said. "That takes a lot of courage, Lila." His words warmed her heart, chasing away some of the anxiety she'd been feeling about the upcoming event. "Thanks, Michael. That means a lot coming from you." As they drove, the conversation flowed easily between them, catching up on the years they'd missed. Michael told her about his wife, Sarah, and their daughter, Olivia. Lila shared stories about her job as a graphic designer and her volunteer work at an animal shelter. "You always did have a soft spot for animals," Michael remarked, remembering the times Lila had rescued stray cats in high school. Lila laughed. "Some things never change, I guess." As they neared their destination, Michael's tone grew more serious. "Listen, Lila, I know we lost touch over the years, but I'd really like to change that. If you're open to it, maybe we could grab coffee sometime, catch up properly?" Lila felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. "I'd like that, Michael. I'd like that a lot." The car pulled up to a charming little boutique where the bridal shower was being held. Lila could see a group of women gathered inside, their laughter audible even through the closed car windows. "Well, here we are," Michael announced, putting the car in park. "You ready for this?" Lila took a deep breath, straightening her dress one last time. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, reaching for the door handle. "Wait," Michael said, turning to face her again. "I just want you to know, you look beautiful, Lila, and I'm proud to call you my friend." Tears threatened again, but this time Lila didn't try to hold them back. She reached forward and squeezed Michael's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." As she stepped out of the car, Lila felt a newfound confidence. The unexpected reunion with Michael had reminded her of the strength of true friendship and the importance of being authentic. With a final wave to her old friend, she squared her shoulders and walked towards the boutique, ready to face whatever the evening might bring. The bell above the door chimed as Lila entered the boutique, drawing the attention of the women inside. For a moment, there was silence as they took in her appearance. Lila felt her heart racing, but she held her head high, a small smile on her lips. Then, like a dam breaking, the room erupted in excited chatter. "Lila! Oh my God, you look amazing! We've missed you so much! I love your dress. Where did you get it?" Emma, the bride-to-be, pushed through the crowd and enveloped Lila in a warm hug. "I'm so glad you could make it," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. As Lila hugged her back, she felt the last of her anxiety melt away. She was home, among friends who accepted her for who she truly was. The night stretched ahead, filled with laughter, memories, and the promise of new beginnings. And as the party went on, Lila couldn't help but think of Michael, and how a simple Uber ride had rekindled an old friendship and given her the courage to embrace this new chapter of her life. She made a mental note to text him later, to thank him once again for being the friend she needed at just the right moment. The bridal shower was in full swing, with glasses clinking and laughter echoing through the boutique. Lila found herself at ease, chatting with old friends and making new connections. The initial nervousness had given way to a sense of belonging she hadn't expected to feel. As she sipped her champagne, Lila's mind wandered back to the Uber ride with Michael. It had been such a serendipitous encounter, one that had given her the strength to walk into this gathering with her head held high. She made a mental note to reach out to him soon, perhaps take him up on that offer for coffee. "Earth to Lila!" Emma's voice broke through her thoughts. The bride-to-be was grinning at her, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Come on, it's time for games!" Lila laughed, allowing herself to be pulled into the circle of women, gathering around a table laden with colorful cards and markers. As they played a hilarious round of Guess the Romantic Movie Quote, Lila felt a warmth spreading through her chest that had nothing to do with the champagne. These were her people, her friends, from a life that seemed so distant now. Yet here they were, accepting her with open arms, as if no time had passed at all. It was a gift she hadn't dared to hope for. As the night wore on, Lila found herself in a quiet corner with Emma, both of them taking a breather from the festivities. Emma reached out and squeezed Lila's hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "I'm so glad you're here," Emma said softly. "I wasn't sure if you'd come, but I really hoped you would." Lila felt a lump form in her throat. "I almost didn't," she admitted. "I was so nervous about seeing everyone again, but then the strangest thing happened on my way here." She told Emma about her encounter with Michael, watching as her friend's eyes widened in surprise and then crinkled with joy. "That's incredible," Emma breathed. "It's like the universe knew you needed a friendly face." Lila nodded, feeling the truth of those words. "It really was, and it gave me the courage to walk in here and face everyone." Emma's grip on her hand tightened. "Lila, you are one of the bravest people I know. It takes so much courage to live your truth, especially in a world that doesn't always make it easy. I hope you know how much we all admire you." Tears pricked at Lila's eyes, and she blinked rapidly to keep them at bay. "Thank you," she whispered. "That means more than you know." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the sounds of the party washing over them. Then Emma grinned, a familiar mischievous look crossing her face. "So, about Michael, are you going to see him again?" Lila felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "We talked about getting coffee sometime, to catch up properly." Emma's grin widened. Well, looks like this bridal shower might lead to more than one happy ending." Lila laughed, gently shoving her friend's shoulder.
"It's not like that. We're just old friends reconnecting."
Emma hummed, clearly unconvinced. "Just remember, I expect to be maid of honor at your wedding, too." Their laughter drew the attention of the other guests, and soon Lila and Emma were pulled back into the festivities. As the night went on, Lila found herself surrounded by love and acceptance, her heart full to bursting. When the party finally wound down, Lila hugged each of her friends goodbye, promising to stay in touch and not let another decade pass before seeing them again. As she stepped out into the cool night air, she felt lighter than she had in years. She pulled out her phone, intending to call another Uber, but paused. Instead, she opened her contacts and found Michael's number, which he had insisted on exchanging before dropping her off. Taking a deep breath, she typed out a message. "Thank you again for earlier. It meant more than you know. Still up for that coffee?" She hit send before she could second-guess herself, then called for her ride home. As she waited, her phone buzzed with a reply. "Any time, Lila. I'm glad I could help. And absolutely, how about Saturday? I know a great little cafe downtown." Lila smiled, feeling a flutter of excitement in her stomach. "Saturday sounds perfect," she replied. As her Uber arrived, Lila looked back at the boutique one last time. This evening had been full of unexpected joys, reconnecting with old friends, finding acceptance, and possibly the start of something new with Michael. She settled into the back seat of the car, her heart full and her spirit light. Whatever the future held, Lila knew she was ready to face it, surrounded by the love and support of true friends. As the city lights blurred past the window, she closed her eyes, grateful for second chances and new beginnings. The following days passed in a whirlwind of emotions for Lila. The bridal shower had left her feeling buoyant, filled with a renewed sense of belonging and acceptance. She threw herself into her work at the graphic design firm with fresh enthusiasm, her creativity flowing more freely than it had in months. As Saturday approached, Lila found herself growing increasingly nervous about her coffee date with Michael. Was it a date? She wasn't sure. The butterflies in her stomach suggested it might be, but she tried to temper her expectations. After all, they were just old friends reconnecting. When Saturday morning finally arrived, Lila stood in front of her closet, agonizing over what to wear. She wanted to look nice, but not like she was trying too hard. After what felt like hours, she settled on a soft burgundy sweater and dark jeans, pairing them with ankle boots and simple silver jewelry. As she applied her makeup, Lila's mind wandered to her high school days. She remembered the confusion and discomfort she'd felt then, always knowing something wasn't quite right, but unable to put it into words. Michael had been one of the few people who seemed to see past her awkwardness, accepting her for who she was, even if she hadn't fully understood it herself at the time. The memory brought a smile to her lips. It was fitting, in a way, that Michael had been the one to give her the courage to face her old friends at the bridal shower. Even after all these years, he was still looking out for her. Lila arrived at the cafe a few minutes early, her nerves jangling as she chose a table near the window. She ordered a latte, more to have something to do with her hands than out of any real desire for caffeine. The bell above the door chimed, and Lila looked up to see Michael walk in. He spotted her immediately, a warm smile spreading across his face as he made his way to her table.
Lila,
he greeted her, leaning in for a quick hug before taking the seat across from her.
you look great.
Lila felt herself blush at the compliment. Thanks, she replied. So do you. And he did. Michael had always been handsome in high school, in that clean-cut, boy-next-door kind of way. The years had been kind to him, adding a touch of maturity to his features that only enhanced his appeal.
So,
Michael said, after ordering his own coffee.
how was the rest of the bridal shower? Did everything go okay?
Lila nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her chest at the memory. It was wonderful, actually. Everyone was so kind and accepting. I can't thank you enough for giving me the courage to go in there. Michael waved off her thanks.
You had that courage all along, Lila. I just gave you a little nudge.
They fell into easy conversation, reminiscing about their high school days and catching each other up on the years in between. Lila found herself laughing more than she had in years, Michael's dry humor and self-deprecating wit as sharp as ever. As their coffee cups emptied and were refilled, Lila felt the last of her nervousness melt away. This was easy, comfortable. It felt like no time had passed at all.
You know,
Michael said during a lull in the conversation, his tone growing more serious.
I always wondered what happened to you after high school. We were so close, and then you just kind of disappeared.
Lila felt a pang of guilt. She had pulled away from most of her friends during her transition, unsure of how they would react and terrified of rejection. I'm sorry about that, she said softly. I was going through a lot, trying to figure myself out. I didn't know how to explain it to anyone, so it was easier to just fade away. Michael reached across the table, placing his hand over hers. The gesture was comforting, grounding.
Hey, no apologies needed. I get it. I just want you to know that I would have been there for you, if you'd wanted me to be.
Lila felt tears prick at her eyes.
Thank you,
she whispered.
That means more than you know.
They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, Michael's hand still resting on hers. When he finally pulled away, Lila found herself missing the warmth of his touch.
So,
Michael said, his tone lightening.
What's next for Lila? Any big plans on the horizon?
Lila shrugged, a small smile playing on her lips. Nothing too exciting. Work, volunteering at the animal shelter. Maybe start dating again if I can work up the courage. Michael's eyebrows rose at that last part.
Dating, huh? Anyone in particular catch your eye?
Lila felt her cheeks heat up. Was he fishing for information, or just making conversation? No one specific, she hedged.
It's just
been a while, you know? Michael nodded, his expression unreadable.
Well, whoever ends up dating you will be a lucky person. You're pretty amazing, Lila.
The sincerity in his voice made Lila's heart skip a beat. She looked down at her coffee cup, suddenly feeling shy. Thanks, Michael. You're not so bad yourself. When she looked up again, Michael was watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. For a moment, she thought he might lean in, might close the distance between them. But then, the moment passed, and he sat back in his chair with a soft chuckle.
We should do this again sometime, he said. It's been great catching up.
Lila nodded, ignoring the slight pang of disappointment she felt. Definitely. Maybe next time we can grab dinner? Michael's face lit up. I'd like that. It's a date. As they left the cafe, Lila felt a mix of emotions swirling inside her. Joy at reconnecting with an old friend, nervousness about the possibility of something more, and a deep sense of contentment that she hadn't felt in a long time. Whatever happened next, she knew one thing for certain. Letting Michael back into her life had been one of the best decisions she'd made in years. As they said their goodbyes, promising to set up their next meeting soon, Lila felt a sense of excitement for what the future might hold. She walked home with a spring in her step, the autumn leaves crunching beneath her feet. The world seemed brighter somehow, full of possibilities she hadn't allowed herself to consider before. And as she unlocked her apartment door, Lila made a silent promise to herself. No more hiding, no more running away. It was time to embrace life fully, with all its joys and challenges. After all, she had faced her biggest fear, showing her true self to the people from her past, and come out stronger for it. With friends like Michael and Emma by her side, Lila felt ready to take on whatever life might throw her way next. As she settled onto her couch, Lila's phone buzzed with a text from Michael.
Had a great time today. Looking forward to our dinner date.
Lila smiled, her heart fluttering at the word date. She typed out a reply, feeling like a teenager again. Me too. Can't wait.
Thanks for watching my girlies. Be sure to check out Patreon for more.